guilty. After 3 days of testimony, all 12 jurors declared Justin Blakeney killed 2-year-old Victoria Viner nearly 4 years ago, and they sentenced him to death. Here's what happened in court, beginning with closing arguments.
The state of Mississippi is not required to prove how he did it. This instruction says we have to prove that he did do it. That 911 call was striking to me. You hear Justin Blakeney on that phone talking just as calmly and matter-of-factly about it. He's saying Victoria, Victoria. If I had a baby like that, I can't imagine not jerking her up and running to that emergency room or out being out in the yard waiting if he's such a good and loving daddy like he said. If every baby that fell down on the carpet like that died, we wouldn't have enough cemeteries to bury them in. What does Gary find when he gets there? Justin Blakeney is propped up in a chair talking on the phone and basically says, she's over there. Dr. Gruzicki had several things to choose from. She don't have a dog in this fight. She's not an agent for the state of Mississippi to try to frame people. She classified this death, the medical evidence. That's what's important. She said it was a homicide, which means that she determined from all the facts that this baby was killed by another human being. And she said it was blunt force trauma to the head. She would have been immediately symptomatic. Immediately. Not days, not weeks, not months, not something that happened 2 weeks before, not a raccoon eye they tried to inject in there or whatever. That little baby didn't commit suicide. These doctors said it wasn't an accident. That's the cake of this case, to use a metaphor. All the other stuff is just icing because he don't know how to keep his mouth shut. But you know, child abuse is a dirty, dark little secret. It's revolting in our society. And we don't normally see it. They don't do it in front of witnesses. And the evidence is not only compelling, it's overwhelming. And we know it was serious because that little baby's been in the grave for 4 years. And this man's responsible for it.
Those operators, Lee Garrett called him an idiot. They didn't know anything about what happened to this child at that point. And already they've got him with a needle in his arm. If he said he was guilty, we wouldn't be here. And yet he has had to fight in that jail, as you heard on that video, that audio tape, of him telling his mama, I'm in hell. In goes Satan to steal his soul, to lie to him, help himself. That man is pure evil. I don't think I've ever seen anybody in my life any more evil. But she told you this could have been as much as 24 hours before. They weren't in the house for 24 hours together. Dr. Benton testified. Mama had left that morning some 30 to 40 minutes before that Justin had to call 911. He didn't say that she died from falling and hitting the floor. He said she fell and hit the floor. In the heat of that moment, he's not sure if he called Lily first or if he called 911 first. He just wasn't sure. This is not a cool, calm, collected person sitting on a couch. He called 911. If he had just struck her on the head like they want you to believe, why would he have bothered? Justin Blakeney's not a first responder. You've got the professionals on the way. But there's no reason to rush to judgment that it had to be him. I'm not the best cook. Definitely not the best baker. My wife is a baker. She loves to bake. And those of you, I'm sure, that bake, you know there's a recipe. Icing, as they call it, is this stuff about the snitches. It's fascinating to me that you've got a man get on the stand and tell you how many people he stabbed, and no telling how many people he beat down, how many people he extorted money from while he's in prison. And that's who the state wants you to trust. They want you to trust this man, that they're going to let go and release back into our society. The child has just died that day. And already, they closed the book. Nobody believes it. It's amazing to me how much icing that they wanted to mix up and put on this cake.
Nobody held him down and tattooed that. The lightning bolts, the SS, the Nazi swastika. Justin Blakeney deserves justice, and so does she. We heard Blakeney on one of his phone calls say, well, if I do get convicted, there ain't gonna be nothing but manslaughter. What kind of innocent person talks like that? If I got somebody in the Jones County Jail committed a nonviolent crime that's got information about a baby killer, I'll let them go in a heartbeat, because that's the most despicable, disgusting thing to me on God's green earth. Why is his client trying to join up with Satan? What's he, Satan Jr.? They could stick a needle in every arm and leg that I got before I could even imagine
3 minutes, Counselor.
losing or trying to take credit for the death of my daughter to get into a racist thug organization. But that's what he did.
It took about an hour and a half to decide on his guilt.
Respect your verdict. So we want you to understand who he is, who he loves, who loves him.
The defense brought in people to testify on Justin's behalf, begging for the lesser sentence of life in prison.
He is my son. I love him. And I think if anybody else has got a kid that feels the same way, they would never want anything, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter. They would still want their child to be alive. And
my baby. And he's always been good to me. He's always been good to everybody. He's just always been a kind person. And I don't want him to die.
I respect the jury's decision, but I personally don't feel that Justin should receive a death penalty for it. Justin is a very good-hearted person. He's the type of person that would give you the shirt off of your back if you needed it. He's always been someone that I could confide in and talk to, and I've always been close to him, and I don't feel that him having the death penalty is right in any kind of way. He deserves to live, whether it be in an institution. He doesn't deserve to have a death penalty.
But they were convinced Blakeney deserved the death penalty. For Leader Call TV, I'm Cassidy Hankins.